Let's bring on board Gaurang Shah then to talk about the Q3 numbers. Gaurang, I'm talking about Hindalco standalone plus Utkal Alumina, and there we have seen the EBITDA do very well. The PAT as well has done pretty well. What would you make of these numbers?
So, Mubina, I think on the operating side, there would have been definitely some efficiencies that would have trickled in. And that's why you've seen a little bit of uptick in terms of the EBITDA level as well. But I think in terms of profitability of Hindalco at 484 odd crores, we were penciling down somewhere close to about 440 to 450 odd crores. And important to see in terms of the consolidation and of course further breakup as we get it as to what the numbers tell you. But looks a little bit better whatever we have seen. I hope there is no one-off or some one-time extraordinary item in the numbers that we have seen right now.
Well, at least at this point of time, I did not see any sort of one-off item, at least in the press release. But yeah, all in all, I think even the volume front, they did pretty well because we have the copper VAP production higher by about 59%. The sales volume, the share of rods as well increased significantly. 58% of it now is from there. And let me just pull out some numbers from the aluminium business. Okay, there it came in at 6,018 crore rupees. That's a jump of almost about 13%. And the EBITDA grew by 8%. Gaurang, we had seen a lot of volatility come by in aluminium prices. We do have metal production as well that's come in at 324 KT. Alumina production as well as higher. What would you make of the aluminium business? A top line growth of 13%, EBITDA growth of 8%. What would you make of that?
I think it's a positive, and not to forget, Mubina, these numbers are on the backdrop when we had the entire trade war and the world over. We saw commodity prices going down south and the kind of issues that metal manufacturing companies had to deal with the world over. So these numbers, I think, are looking a shade better than what we had penciled out.
Despite the fact that even, in fact, Hindalco is saying that they did see an increase in fuel costs, they did see an increase in coal and furnace oil, essentially, they still have been able to manage very well. Operational efficiencies as well is something that you flagged off. But do you think they can continue with this? Because aluminium prices, in the midst of all of that trade war worries, has been in doldrums. It has been below $1,900 per ton. So do you think Hindalco will be able to continue maintaining its margins?
I think they would be able to, because in an environment like this, if you are delivering these sets of numbers and this kind of margins, I think going forward, if we accept some amount of resolution for which the talks are going on between China and the United States of America, if there is some amount of relaxation and some amount of understanding that has been reached, I think you will definitely see some traction on the upward side for the metal prices, both ferrous as well as non-ferrous. So my sense is that if the environment, the backdrop improves, there is, I think, enough scope for much more improvement.
Okay, all right. What about the alumina side of the business? I think Utkal has done pretty well as well this time around. It's contributed very well to the aluminium. It's complemented that business very well. What would you make of the performance over there?
So like you rightly mentioned, I think there was a lot of choppiness and volatility in the alumina prices, and that's reflected into the kind of moves that we saw. But given the kind of, 47% year-on-year growth as far as the Utkal alumina plant is concerned, well, my sense is that they have done reasonably well. And here also, Mubina, overall efficiencies have definitely translated into positive.
Okay, great, Gaurang. Thanks so much for giving in your bits on what Hindalco has done during the third quarter. Not at all a bad set of numbers, especially on the margins and PAT front. Great management over there because despite the fact that input costs had gone higher, they have still been able to do pretty well on the margin front. Profits as well have grown. This, of course, remember, is Hindalco plus Utkal. It's the two entities combined. Utkal, of course, is the alumina division, so do take note of that. Good set of numbers from Hindalco. The stock price as well did spike up quite a bit. In fact, I think it's continuing to rise. It's 0.8% now higher in trade. So good going for Hindalco's Q3 numbers.